Hello, and welcome back to the video. Sorry about the framing here, actually in the middle of traveling, so please bear with me. But I thought that one good story I would like to share is how we were able to really close an engineer last week. And a lot of things that took place made it really, in my opinion, just could be insightful to you all on some of the lessons learned and what exactly happened. So this was an engineering role with a firm out in, I believe, Ohio and Michigan. They're growing very fast. And it was for kind of like a controls, a software engineer, electrical engineering role. What really happened was that when we first spoke with the candidate, right, he initially told us that, hey, he was looking for about $105,000 because he really wasn't interviewing anywhere else. So he had really no other processes to compare it to. He just started kind of thinking about looking for a new job because his current role was about to do some layoffs and reorg into the future. And then we did that like we do with any other qualification intake call with our candidate. We're able to submit. The client got back to us eventually, I think a week and a half later, and saying, hey, they want to interview. And then they started the interview process with him. What happened though was that throughout the interview process, he did every single stage really well, right? But what also happens, as you know, especially if you're in recruiting, or if you're a hiring manager, you're a founder, when you hire someone, there's a high chance that if they're good, if they're looking for a new job, they're probably going to interview with other companies, not just yours, right? So that's exactly what happened with our candidate. He started talking to other people, but even despite our regular check-ins, like nothing really changed. The only thing that really changed though was his possible salary expectations. As he got further into the process with our client and he had a phenomenal final round, he let us know that he had a couple other processes with other companies that are going much slower. He's not as serious. He still ranks our client number one in terms of overall interest. But the biggest change and discrepancy was the salary, because the other companies were willing to offer him a salary of about $120,000 and instead of, 105, which was what he told us initially. So with that information, what I did and what you have to do as recruiters, you have to let your hiring manager and decision makers know as soon as possible. So I knew that he just had a final round and I'm like, wow, if we're gonna make it to an offer, if we're gonna move forward with my candidate, my client needs to know this information as fast as possible. So I sent them an email like, hey, great news, candidate's still very excited, but he now wants a salary of 120 ideally because he started other processes and now he's thinking about it. He chatted with his wife and family, like this is what he would need. At that point, I'm like, cool, they would know. And so if you make it to an offer, it would reflect that, right? And so I thought everything was fine. Lo and behold, he made it to an offer. We got emails saying they want to move forward to an offer. It was absolutely fantastic. We got excited. And then it took us a while to kind of get the offer out. I think we waited about another week, which is a long time to get the offer out after telling us they want to move for an offer. So I'm biting my nails waiting. My can's biting his nails waiting, sitting on the edge of the seat. Like the biggest worry for me was that he would wake up one day, no longer be interested, or he'd be moving forward faster with another process. He gets an offer, he accepts, and now he's off the market, which is like the worst case scenario. Thankfully, that didn't happen. The offer came out, and when the offer came out, I was so shocked.
Did you just start your own recruitment agency and are struggling getting your own clients? Are you thinking about starting your own agency but afraid to make the jump? Do you have your own clients but you're struggling to find the perfect candidates fast? Do you have a full-time job and want to do recruitment part-time to make more money on the side and have no idea how to? If you answered yes to any of these questions, please consider joining our private community. It is a trust-based community where recruiters around the world can support, collaborate, and work together on placements all around the year consistently. In this community, you will directly have access to the real open jobs of my team and of our members, and you will also have the chance to access trainings, events, giveaways, and much more. If you are part of this community, I communicate and work with you as if you were on my own team, and I'll do whatever I can to do a placement together with your client or candidate. So if you're struggling to get your own clients or candidates and you want a way you can make sure you can be busy all year round by having access to many more open roles, then this is something you need to look into. This is open to people around the world and is open for recruiters in every industry and experience levels, as we will always have a good number of variety of open jobs across sectors, markets, and industries. I'm really happy to say that within the first 30 days, we have already have a new member with minimal recruiting experience do his first placement that had a total fee of almost $30,000 US, and we are working hard to do many more this year. If you are interested and excited, there are only a limited number of spots open, so make sure you sign up quick at patreon.com/recruiterpreston. If you have any questions, please reach out to me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Discord. We can set up a time to chat. See you on the other side.
When the offer came out, because I looked at the terms and they came out with a salary of $105,000. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, are they intentionally lowballing here? Like, what's happening? Because this client is not usually known to lowball. So I basically, contacted the HR person, like, we need to talk, and I explained the situation, like, what is going on? And they're like, well, when you initially submitted the candidate, you submitted them for $105,000. I'm like, yes, but did you also see my more recent email that's now shifting? And so they're like, hey, we didn't see that. And even if we did, we only go by the first email. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, things change all the time. You have to adapt. And then they push back saying, we think this is fair. We don't think we're gonna budge. So here I am, like, submitting my candidate. I'm like, salaries change, which is normal. And then you expect the client to come up, come up a little bit. But then that didn't happen. The client is standing firm for some weird reason. And so I'm like, this is not gonna be good. So usually in situations like this, I'm like, I'm not gonna lose this offer. What can we do? I start thinking about what are the other variables or levers at play for the candidate where we can maybe have them focus less on the horrible offer if the client's not looking to budge, focus on more things that are important. The second aspect to this offer is I circle back with the candidate. I'm like, hey, and I did another typical pros call. I'm like, look, things are looking well, offer came out, but what else is also really, really important for you, right? And so this is the whole reason why we do process calls is we also notice that he's gonna be a reload candidate. So a reload candidate, and he's gonna be a visa candidate. So he needs a visa ideally for him and his family. He needs reload help for him and his family. What we also discovered during our more recent kind of process calls, deeper right before the offer came out, while the offer is important, the reload and the visa were just as important as well. And so knowing this, when we got the shocking low offer, we verbally extended this to the candidate. He obviously was not really happy about this. And he's like, hey, can they come up on salary? I'm like, I don't think they can. Typically companies can, but I'm like, for some reason here, they're standing firm. But I'm like, let's talk about the visas and reload. Like, if we're able to get some more information or wiggle room here, can that tip the scales, or are you completely turned off? And to my surprise, he's like, you know what? If we're able to get like $15,000 in reload after taxes, which is what my current company's done for me, and in writing say that they're willing to help with my visas and eventual green card process, I'm so excited enough about this company, I'm willing to forego this low salary and almost willing to seriously consider accepting it if they're able to do the reload and the visas. And to my hearing, like, I was shocked. I was like a little boy jumping up and down. I'm like, this is exactly what I need to hear. This is exactly how we're gonna close this if this salary is not going to happen. So we went back to the client. I'm like, hey, salary fine. What about reload and what about visas? And they're like, hey, you know what? We can actually have wiggle room here. And so I'm like, can you give us 15? And we waited a day or two. They came back saying, here's 12. I'm like, I need 15. We waited back another day. They're like, oh, fine, here's 15. I'm like, what about visas? Like, we can do his TN visa. I'm like, what about his green card? We wait another day or two. I followed up with them, and then they finally said, you know what? We can do green card. I'm like, can you put all this in writing, attach it to the offer, and send it to us? So as you heard, one thing that also made this process difficult with this client is we just had to wait so long for the offer to come out. We had to wait so long for them to adjust the reload, so long to adjust the green card. And I'm so happy that my candidate was willing to be persistent and patient and understanding and not just jump with another interview process or offers that he has. So like, this was so stressful and anxiety-ridden at the same time. And we try our best to get the client to get back to our candidate as soon as possible. But sometimes things are out of control, and we just got to really explain this to the candidate and hope that they understand. So everything started out wrong with this low offer, but then we were able to find out these other variables that were able to possibly tip the scales, and that's exactly what I focused on. And I was relentless. I'm like, we need 15, not before taxes, after taxes. It also came out to before taxes. Then I pushed back saying it needs to say after taxes. And then TN visas, they agreed. And then finally the green card, they agreed. And then we were able to extend this to the candidate. And when we did this, it was about a Friday. And he's like, you know what? I can't really accept on the spot, which was like, oh my God, it was like a punch to the stomach. He's like, give me the weekend. I need to talk about it with my wife. And by the way, my wife's getting a little bit worried about reload. We kind of like it here. We don't want to move. And so I'm like, oh my God, another red flag, because if you've been recruiting, the hardest obstacle to overcome is like my significant other, my husband, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my family. They don't want me to take the offer. Like, it's very difficult, and there's not that many things that we can do aside from connecting the company to the parents, talking to the significant other or partner ourselves. Like, don't underestimate the power of family or significant others or loved ones. And so like when that happened, I'm like, this is not gonna work. Like, we somehow fixed it, and now this whole situation with the wife is happening. I'm like, let's just give it a weekend. And I expected coming into Monday, him saying, I talked to it with my wife, we went back and forth, it's not gonna happen. Did not sleep very well that weekend. Synced up with him first thing on Monday, and he's like, you know what? I chatted with my wife, and ... she's on board. And we're okay with the visas, we're okay with the reload, and we're okay with the low salary because we know that if we join, they're gonna grow really, really fast and our salary will catch up with it completely. Yes, across the board. He's like, you know what? After everything, I officially accept. And I can't tell you how I felt inside and times I jumped up and down after I hung up the phone call, but somehow we were able to save this offer with a really low offer by doing our job and collecting the right information, knowing what other levers that we can and variables that we can play with to push and advocate at the right times for the client respectfully to get the job done. So this honestly is going to be the deal for 2024 in the books right now. I did not feel confident multiple times when the wife red flag came up, when the visa red flag, the reload red flag, that low offer red flag. I'm like, there's no way we can get this done. But kudos to the team finding it, kudos to the candidate being patient, and just to show you how important it is to have regular check-ins with your candidate at every single touch point to then collect that information, to sell them, low-key sell them, and discover new data, new information that we can use to get them an offer, to get them an attractive offer, to fight for the candidates in any way that we can to hopefully let the wind blow in their way. And a lot of times it doesn't, but this time it did. And the cards were stacked against us, but we were able to make it happen. And really, really excited to share with you all some of the biggest takeaways and lessons learned here. Do your calls, collect information, take your time with the candidates, really fight for them with the clients. Be respectful to the clients as well. Sometimes clients and candidates will do things, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know why they didn't see my email. I don't know why they didn't come out with a higher offer, but you can control what you can control and do the best that you can and adapt and do your best. And we did it. So here's to us, another deal closed. Congrats to clients, candidates, and the team. Another one for the books. Let's keep on going. Let's make 2024 an awesome year. We'll see you on the next one, hopefully with more stories to come. Appreciate you.